Boa tarde, galera. Boa tarde, todo mundo. Estamos aqui aguardando o nosso querido Donny Epstein. Ele deve estar entrando aqui na live. Eu queria aproveitar que ele não está, e daí não precisa tradução, aproveitar esse momento para falar para vocês que todas as lives vão ter legenda depois. Esses vídeos vão ter legenda, porque a gente sabe que perde-se muito na tradução, né? Isso é normal. Então, que a gente pode corrigir isso ainda, melhorar para o entendimento de vocês. E pedimos desculpas, tem umas coisas que passam mesmo, tá a Silvia aqui com a gente, o Fábio à noite. Para eles que não são quiropraxistas, também não é fácil pegar a linguagem, mas está tudo maravilhoso. Queria avisar que depois da live do Donny, a gente vai ter um sorteio pela Quiropraxia Sem Fronteiras no Instagram da ONG, tá? A Fernanda vai puxar esse sorteio aí, todos aqueles produtos, e tá cheio de novidade. E hoje teremos o Fernando Azevedo aqui junto, a Vivi também tá ali de backup, porque ninguém sabe como é que vai ser a história com o Donny. Estamos muito ansiosos. Vocês podem fazer perguntas pelo chat, tá? Como sempre. A gente vai tentar colocar todas as perguntas. E que mais? O Congresso está demais. Hoje a gente ainda tem uma live que começa 9h30 da noite. Jason Gilbert, super conhecido de nós brasileiros, amigo, colega de profissão, que fez tanto pela quiropraxia no Brasil. E nada mais justo que a gente encerrar esse congresso com ele. Tá? Vocês podem fazer as perguntas para o Donny.
Bom, gente, é o que a Serena acabou de falar. Nós não, desculpa. Oi. Tudo isso é muito válido e vale mais a realidade, é simbólico, né? Porque a realidade é você depois se aprimorar no seu estudo, pesquisar, fazer cursos, fazer workshops, seminários. Aí sim, porque em 2 horas, em qualquer live que está acontecendo hoje em dia, nesse novo normal, é impossível você aprender ou se dedicar a uma profissão só porque você assistiu aquela live de 2 horas. O que é 2 horas na vida de uma pessoa que faz há 40 anos isso, há 30 anos isso? Então, é realmente o que a Serena falou, é mais para a gente ter a informalidade de ver essa pessoa no vídeo, de sentir energeticamente, né? Que é o mais importante. É esse olhar, é o sorriso, é o tom de voz, mais que qualquer outra coisa, né? Mas sempre, lógico, o presencial é sempre melhor, ler os livros e estudar sempre é melhor. Então, acho que esse congresso está sendo muito bom para todos vocês e parabéns a todos os organizadores e que vocês tenham muito sucesso e que hajam mais congressos como esse. É importante.
Obrigada, Silvia. Gente, eu peço que vocês tenham um pouquinho de paciência, que nós estamos atrás do Donny, tá? E parece que está tudo confirmado. Ó, eles estão já sabendo. Daqui a pouquinho teremos o bruxo conosco e vamos ver tudo que a gente pode pegar dele, aprender. Pelo visto, esse Epi-Energetics é uma coisa que ele criou, né? E é bem interessante. Não parece quiropraxia, parece bruxaria, como eu falo. Vai ser bem bacana. Então, a gente vai fazer o sorteio agora, tá? Tá aberto aqui o nosso áudio para falar. Vem, Fernandinha. Tá. O que mais que eu posso falar para vocês? Aqui não adianta ficar falando besteira também, né, Serena?
Você já fez o curso dele, fala um pouco da sua experiência.
Eu fui com a Lari, com a Fernanda, com a Roberta, com o Marcelo Gritti. A gente foi o ano passado para o Chile para aprender o primeiro módulo do Epi-Energetics, com o Dr. Salgado, José Salgado, maravilhoso, de Puerto Rico. E foi, assim, transformador, né? Eu não quero dar os spoilers, mas é impressionante, é uma coisa que a gente tem mão pesada, Quiro, né? E é uma coisa muito sutil. O o Salgado falava besito, é um besito. Então, por cima, a Serena falando, tem todos os protocolos, tem indicadores, você sacro, segundo sacro, T7, T8. Então, é um toquinho, eles falavam que era 80% de tração, mas assim, ó, levíssimo. E daí o outro dedo vem e faz um scoop, aquele scoop, bem encaixadinho, assim, mas é um... E aí, ele fala que são portais, são gateways. Então, na hora que a gente passa o dedo, a gente sente aquele portal e puxando o dedo, e puxa mesmo, um negócio impressionante, é uma sensibilidade muito maior, né? E ele não é com ajuste, o touch físico, mecânico, que a gente está mais acostumado. Então, são esses toquinhos, essas interferências, e a inteligência inata da pessoa faz o resto. Então, é a história das ondas, né? As ondas que a gente tem aí nas notas musicais, e a gente fala de tom o tempo todo em quiropraxia, e quando a pessoa está lá deitada, depois que você faz as intervenções, o corpo ele começa a oscilar, e a gente começa a ver a onda que não passa em algumas pessoas, tem pessoas que, dependendo da classificação lá, não passa nada do ar. Então, começa essa oscilação do corpo, em alguns momentos o corpo faz uns trimelique, uma coisa muito doida, e é bem legal. E os instrutores dele, né, que a gente conheceu lá no Chile, como é que chama? A Jennifer, eu não lembro do nome minha cabeça tá cheia, calma que as meninas estão prontas para o sorteio. Elas falavam que elas fizeram, assim, 10 vezes o primeiro módulo, 5 vezes o segundo módulo, como tudo em quiropraxia, como tudo na vida, né, gente? Então, a gente não vai sair daqui expert em epinergetics. Vamos tirar as dúvidas com o Donny, vamos ver se a gente consegue fazer um curso dele aqui no Brasil. Vai ser bacana. E, aliás, o Donny, ele passou por um processo agora, ele, a Jack, que nos incêndios nos Estados Unidos, não só aqui, tá? Um incêndio, né, nos Estados Unidos, a gente viu aí o desastre, a questão ambiental tá séria, né, no planeta, e eles perderam casa. E eu enchendo o saco deles no Zap, e o Congresso, e ele aceitou desde o primeiro momento, ele falou que ele queria muito fazer. Falei, Donny, se você não puder, a gente pensou em falar com o filho dele, o Daniel, ou com o Salgado, mas ele quis fazer. A Jack, a mulher dele, falou que ele estava muito animado. Então, com todo esse processo, no meio do incêndio, o cara vai aqui, logo mais ele entra. Vamos aproveitar agora para o sorteio. Meninas, vocês podem vir já? Aê! Ó. Então, venha. Não, calma, vocês estão no ar, gente. Vem cá, Fê. Quer por aqui? Põe aqui, ó.
Oi, galera, tudo bem? Nós estamos num site que a Seri vai tentar colocar aqui para... Nós temos 10 prêmios, então todos os nomes dos inscritos, eles estão aqui. Consegue ver aí?
Não, dá para ver.
Eles estão lançados aqui. Então, toda a planilha dos inscritos foi transformada aqui para o site. E, então, foram colocados quantos nomes serão sorteados? Serão 10, justamente porque nós temos 10 prêmios. Então, agora eu vou clicar no sortear nomes, e os 10 nomes que aparecerem, nós vamos entregar conforme a lista do Instagram.
Na mesma ordem.
Na mesma ordem que está lá no Instagram.
Vai, sorteio.
Então, vamos lá. Qual é a ordem? Pega ali para mim no meu...
Aqui são os bastidores, ó. Olha os bastidores, ó. A Larissa.
Então, o primeiro que foi o macacão músculos. Mostra o macacão aí. Que é aquele foi postado no Insta.
Tá.
Então, foi para a Luana Luísa Rosa Gomes.
Deixa eu pôr aqui, sim.
A segunda, que é a regata músculos.
Regata músculos.
Mostra lá.
E tudo isso é presente do Seth Levine, hein, gente?
Regatinha.
Deixar o abdômen definido. Você tá no... Aí.
Então, a regata vai para Ellen Karine de Souza Prado.
Por que você não tira o som?
E é bom que as duas,
Vai,
o macacão e a regata foram para mulheres, né? Agora, o próximo é essa manga longa. A blusa de manga longa foi para Ana Paula Afonso Aranda.
Vão arrasar com essas roupas, galera. Vai, próximo, vai, Fernanda. Daqui a pouco o Donny tá aí.
Camiseta, né? Vocês já viram? Camiseta da ONG. A camiseta vai para Daniela Oliveira.
Uhul!
O próximo é o body de manga longa dos órgãos. Não! É esse mesmo, que é o body. Aquele era o macacão.
Não precisa mais de academia, gente.
Bom, mas o body vai para o Ismael.
Vai presentear uma amiga, parceira
Pode
de
dar
vida.
Pode sair no carnaval.
Bom, agora é um grande amigo que mostrou, que ganhou o speeder da Tom Table. É o Raul Sartonelli Melaré.
Aê, Raul!
Ele estudou comigo.
Vai para o interior esse, hein?
Vai para o interior.
Tira esse daqui.
Eu estou vendo aqui os nomes. O próximo é o suporte da Quiropro, que foi para Domingos Milton Luiz da Silva.
Domingos!
Continua.
E agora, nós não temos aqui, mas o próximo é o suporte lombar para carro, também da Quiropro, que vai para o Rodrigo Manavello Gardenal.
Aê!
O Gardenal ganhou um apoio.
O próximo é o Quirofreeze, também da Quiropro, que vai para Alexandra Ribeiro Machado. E o último, né, que todo mundo está empolgado, que foi o nosso último prêmio, o curso da 755, que é Raniele Zappellini.
Aê!
Uau! Vai
Parabéns
aprender com
a
os
todos
meninos.
ganhadores.
A gente vai entrar em contato com vocês e encontrar a melhor forma de entregar esses prêmios, tá?
Nós iremos enviar a todos. Então, a gente escreve um e-mail e vocês passam o endereço certinho. Parabéns!
Pessoal, se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida, vamos aproveitar esses momentos, escrevam aí no chat. Melhoraremos os erros, os defeitos para o próximo. Queremos a avaliação de todos vocês. Vocês vão receber um e-mail, por favor, avaliem qualidade de som, qualidade de legenda, qualidade de tradução, qualidade da comunicação da organização do Congresso, valores. Esse e-mail vai chegar para vocês em breve e é essencial que a gente tenha esse feedback de vocês para poder fazer melhor sempre, né? Mas eu acho que já foi um sucesso, né? Já foi um sucesso e ainda tem muita coisa ainda hoje. E parabéns para vocês que estão conectados, que estão logados, me dando força e dando energia para que a coisa aconteça. É a maior satisfação fazer isso. E o Donny deve estar em breve, tá? Assim que ele entrar, a gente já começa rasgando. Gente, esse suspense todo é coisa do Donny também. Dá mais expectativa para a gente ficar mais ansioso ainda, como se já não bastasse a ansiedade que estamos. Então, eu vou pegar um copo d'água e já volto. Gente, só falando aqui da programação, estamos muito ansiosos também para ouvir a Dr. Monique Angels, Dr. Monos. Estamos falando de novo, Gilles Lamarche, Vivi conhece, já ouviu falar dele? Fala aqui um pouquinho para a galera, como você conheceu ele, só aproveita aqui. Eu não sei quem é o Gilles, aliás, conversei muito com todos eles, mas pessoalmente eu não... Bem, Vivi.
Boa tarde, galera, tudo bem? O Gilles, eu conheci ele no Texas, na Parker, quando eu e a Gidiane ganhamos a bolsa de estudo, era ele quem cuidava dos estudantes, até onde eu sei, ele é canadense. Uma das coisas que escutei falar que ele era o quiropraxista da Celine Dion, então é uma coisa legal. de repente até para depois perguntar se é verdade ou não os mitos. E hoje ele está na live. E ele foi quiropraxista por muitos anos e hoje ele está mais na parte educacional. E ele cuida dos alunos, enfim, faz os encontros, as assembleias que os alunos têm. Ele faz essa interação universidade, aluno, quiropraxista. Bom, vale a pena escutar, uma energia muito boa, e é isso.
E olha, muito bom, Vivi. Outra coisa, gente, imperdível, Rob Sinott, mitos e verdades da quiropraxia. Vem que vem, tá? Quem mais que tem hoje à tarde? O Bruce já foi?
Já, o Bruce já foi.
Quem que mais tem hoje à tarde?
Linda.
A Linda?
Linda Slam.
Não, a Linda...
às 4 horas.
A Linda às 4 horas.
O Rob,
Slack.
o Rob às 5 horas.
Rob Sinott assim. Bom, tá maravilhoso.
Monique às 18h30.
Dr. Mo, 18h30. Depois Gilles Lamarche e Jason Gilbert com vocês. Só para explicar mais uma coisa, tá? A live da noite do Jason. Teoricamente, o Jason fala português, o Fernando, que vai ser o mediador, também fala português. Mas como esse é um congresso internacional, ele foi pensado, ele foi desenhado para ser inteiro em inglês. Porque além de nós brasileiros, que vamos ter as legendas na palestra e a tradução nas lives, pessoas do mundo inteiro podem ver esses palestrantes, né? Inglês é a língua universal. Então, gente, vamos se esforçar um pouquinho. Eu sei que ninguém tem obrigação de aprender inglês, poderiam me responder isso, mas a gente, como quiropraxista, tem que aprender inglês. E uma das melhores maneiras de aprender inglês é vendo esses palestrantes, né? Eu já aprendi um monte, só organizando aqui, falando com eles, corrigindo legenda. Tem erros de legenda? Tem. Vamos aproveitar. Por quê? Porque depende muito da cadência, das expressões que cada palestrante usa. Então, às vezes, um palestrante fica assim, you know, daí na legenda sai, ulalá, você sabe. Então, esse nível de correção minucioso não foi feito nesse congresso, por falta de tempo. 2 dias antes de lançar o congresso, a gente estava corrigindo legenda, porque isso chegou em cima da hora. Então, são coisas que a gente pretende melhorar para os próximos, né? E críticas são bem-vindas, por favor, critiquem, que é só assim que a gente vai conseguir melhorar. Então, um pouquinho de paciência, tá? Quem tiver com acesso premium vai poder estudar e rever e voltar, isso é uma facilidade. E pretendemos fazer muitos outros. Na avaliação de vocês, coloquem lá quem que vocês queriam ouvir falar, o que vocês acharam, vamos fazer cursos com esses quiropraxistas, vamos agitar essa comunidade de quiropraxia. E a ideia de fazer este congresso, nesse ano sem precedentes, 2020, foi muito em função da pandemia, lockdown, os alunos foram extremamente prejudicados, e quiropraxistas também, mas a ideia foi ser um estímulo para os quiropraxistas, né, para os estudantes e para os quiropraxistas, e aproveitando a nossa capacidade de adaptação, fazendo uma coisa completamente contemporânea, os novos tempos, como diz a Silvia, né? Agora o novo normal é esse virtual. Então, foi uma primeira experiência bacana. E a ONG, vou aproveitar, bom, já que ninguém quer falar, eu falo. A ONG Quiropraxia Sem Fronteiras, quem estiver me assistindo, quiropraxistas, estudantes, a ONG é nossa, de todos vocês, né? A formalidade de ter um grupo, criar um estatuto, de uma associação, a gente está fazendo a base. Mas, por favor, cheguem junto. A gente tem que usar a ONG. A ONG é mais uma via da gente poder fazer as coisas. Então, quem tem curso, por exemplo, Daniel, Davi, tem gente aí que tem uns cursos, a turma da 755. Tudo isso pode ser feito através da ONG também, né? A nossa ideia é colaborar para a profissão e saibam que a ONG é de vocês, então cheguem junto mesmo. O pessoal vem aos poucos, né? Tem um revezamento, tem gente que chega na frente, mas aos poucos as pessoas vão caindo a ficha e vão se apropriando da ONG. Tá bom, gente? E aí, o Donny agora, bom, Donny, a hora que o Donny chegar, eu vou falar tchau, Donny. Pessoal, outra coisa super importante, todos esses palestrantes fizeram isso gratuitamente, doaram o seu tempo, foi de forma voluntária, tá? Para que o Congresso acontecesse. Então, a gente tem que ser muito grato por essas pessoas, escrevam para eles adoram, né? Todos eles falam, entre em contato comigo, fala que você é do Brasil, fala que você estava no Congresso, eles vão gostar muito. E é só aguardar agora, não vou ficar falando besteira para não encher vocês. Não é besteira, mas vocês me ouvem bastante. Aguardando o Donny.
So when I hear an English voice saying something to me, or questioning, who will it be? Who is there? Someone here who will be directly speaking to me?
Yes.
Will
We
that
can
be
hear you and people can hear us, but we are not on the video.
okay? All right. So if you say there's a question for me or something like that, who will be? Will that be Sylvia? Will you be doing that, or will that be Fernando? Who will be
Sylvia, yes, me and Fernando and I.
Great. Okay. So I know who those ghosts speaking are.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Well, oh, thank you here.
Thank you.
And about how many chiropractors are there in Brazil?
Quantos quiropratas tem aqui no Brasil? Quiropraxistas tem no Brasil? Quem sabe responder? Oi? Hello, people.
Hello.
Quantos quiropraxistas tem aqui no Brasil?
1.200. 1.200.
1,200.
All right. Okay, great.
Somos muito poucos ainda.
We are still a few, they said.
Excuse me?
They said they are still few of them.
Yes.
Comparing to Brazilians, you know, Brazil's population.
Yeah, well, yes. And it's better to have a few who are coherent in what we're offering than many who don't have a clue.
Exactly. Ele ainda falou, é melhor ter poucos, mas bons que estão aqui aprendendo o que vocês querem dizer, aliás.
That was 12 stages or he missed translated.
Não tem nem ideia do que
Stage he missed. Which was in Portuguese?
Ele diz aqui nesse primeiro quadro aqui do API Energetics, né? Ajustar colunas para ajustar o destino. É isso, gente. Destino da sua vida.
I think when either my 12-stage book, A Healing Miss Healing Magic, I think it was 12 stages, was published in Portuguese for Brazil many years ago. But
Okay.
the 90s.
O livro dele, que acho que foi publicado aqui no Brasil, os 12 estágios, né, 12 passos dele, ele acha que foi produzido no Brasil, editado no Brasil em português. Foi? Gente?
Eu não sei. Eu não sei a resposta sobre isso.
Nobody knows about that, if your book was translated into Portuguese.
No, it was translated, but I'm not sure which book, but in the 90s, but I think that the international rights probably ended, but it was in Portuguese, yes.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be sharing with you in Brazil and wherever else in the world that we're participating together. So today I'm going to be talking about from adjusting spines to adjusting destinies. That's a big jump. You see, originally I started off that I was adjusting subluxations. Then I realized it's not just subluxations, I'm adjusting spines. Then I thought I was adjusting health of people. Then I realized, no, it's more than that. Maybe I'm adjusting their adaptability. Then I said, well, we're adjusting their innate potential. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And in my professional business cards back in the 1980s and 90s, on my business card, I said, we're adjusting subluxations to liberate your genetic potential. But I now know there's a lot more than genetic potential. So then I said, I'm adjusting lives. That's what I'm adjusting lives. How do I know that? Because as I would experience the changes people would have, my mind, what am I really adjusting? There. And then I finally realized that we're adjusting destinies of individuals and humanity.
Doctor, just a minute for us to translate.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Isso.
Silvia, começa ou termino?
Ah, pode começar.
Bom, ele primeiro agradece a oportunidade de ter participado do Congresso, está muito feliz de estar aqui com a gente, e ele, assim, eu vou fazer um resumo básico do que ele falou, ele vai explicar mais ou menos por que ele não só ajusta a coluna, mas ele faz um ajuste de vida, né, o Adjusting Lives, Adjusting Destinies, é uma coisa que ele tenta replicar na prática dele.
Yeah. I graduated.
E o que ele falou também, muito importante, é atingir o potencial interno, inerente dentro da pessoa. É isso que ele mais faz com a cura dele, né? Com o tipo de quiropraxia que ele faz.
Exato.
Ô, Fê, só vou comentar uma coisa aqui que eu acho importante, aí depois vocês me completam. O que eu peguei é que ele falou que ele começou pensando que ele estava ajustando colunas. E aí ele falou, não, eu não estou ajustando colunas, eu estou ajustando subluxações. Aí depois, em outro momento da vida dele, ele falou, não, eu não estou ajustando subluxações, eu estou ajustando pessoas. E aí depois, num próximo momento, que ele sempre continua buscando coisas diferentes, ele falou, eu estou ajustando vidas. E agora ele chegou no ponto que ele fala, não, eu faço mais do que isso, eu não ajusto vidas. Hoje eu ajusto o destino dos indivíduos e das pessoas.
Was this slide just translated? Did you just translate the slide?
Ah, a gente já traduziu esse slide aqui, gente? Esse que está aparecendo na tela?
So when the slide is on, are you translating the slide? I'd like to know.
People, eu não estou conseguindo ver todo o slide na minha tela, então eu estou só na metade dele aqui, não estou conseguindo tirar essas imagens daqui. Ok. Donny Epstein irá explorar a transição nas 4 décadas de desenvolvimento, pesquisa e envolvimento da inteligência, da auto-organização da inteligência e a sua influência em cura, vida e na sua upgrading the human OS e elevar a condição humana, né? Está sendo orientado. Essa orientação é a maior visão dos princípios fundados da quiropraxia e na coerência da filosofia, ciência e arte por uma humanidade sem fronteiras. Certo?
I graduated Chiropractic College in 1978.
Ele se formou em 1993. 83.
At the peak of practice, I was seeing between 900 and 1,200 visits a week myself.
Na prática dele, ele teve visitas de mais de 900 e tantas pessoas, né?
And I started out really with the traditional chiropractic D.D. Palmer, B.J. Palmer perspective.
Ele começou realmente fazendo seguindo a tradicional quiropraxia do B.J. Palmer, né? Trabalhando
and I've been involved in 4 decades of research where about over a dozen universities and colleges have studied the self-organizing central nervous system.
Aí, Vivi, por mais de 4 décadas, ele tem estudado e pesquisado e frequentado mais de 12 universidades nessa pesquisa da consciência interna, né, da inteligência.
Auto-organização.
Auto-organização da inteligência inata, né? Nata.
Isso.
And Karina, next slide, please. So what I call epi-healing is a term used for lay people
Gente, a tradução.
Estou esperando o Fernando.
And it was originally, the term was reorganizational healing, which is published in major international publications, going beyond ordinary healing.
Oi? Serena, eu acho assim, deixa ele falar direto e aí depois a gente traduz. O que você acha? Senão a gente vai perder muito tempo.
Tá bom, fala isso para ele, para ele dar uma corrida, daí quando vocês quiserem, vocês levantam a mão.
Isso. Doc, let's do something better. You can do it totally in English, and then we're gonna translate it after. Then you can feel more comfortable to do the whole thing. Okay?
Yes. So
Perfect.
healing, epi-healing is healing beyond what seems possible. All healing involves a spontaneous, organic, and effortless change in the meaning of your experiencing and how you experience your body, mind, and life. Epi-healing increases your personal relationships to the energy and wisdoms that heal your body and life. It helps you to energize and create greater impact upon yourself and others. Your perceptions, your behaviors, and your structures and results are enhanced. Now, you must have a change in all three. A person may have a symptom change or structural change, but did the behavior of the body and the life change? You can have a change in person's change in the feeling or perception. Yes, but they're doing things differently. You may take care of someone and the person may not see like much is changing in the body, but they feel they experience God. Happy healing helps you energize, create greater impact upon yourself and upon others. This is healing chiropractic without boundaries. Your perceptions, your behaviors, and your structures and results are enhanced. This energetic abundance and vitality flows in the space, the gap between you and others. Epi-healing is about you, your relationships with others, your new lease on a bigger and more fulfilled healing and living, and the experience of finally coming home. Chiropractic is secondary to healing, and life heals. So people must first know, what does healing really mean? It's not about the condition, it's about the person and their innate potential expression. And chiropractic is a strategy for accessing this in an extraordinary way.
Pessoal, eu quero dar, Donny, 1 minute, please. Recadinho. Vamos deixar o Donny falar inglês. Donny, talk just English, and after we put subtitles for all the people, for Brazilian. Depois a gente põe tradução de legenda para todo mundo. Então, deixa ele falar inglês. E, Fernando, fala que na hora das perguntas específicas a gente faz a tradução. E a gente só fica aí de antena.
And Doc, you can do the whole presentation, all right? No interruptions for you.
And you'll also mention what's on the slides. Okay.
All right.
So let's go with this more video.
More. There is more than seeking less of something in life. Less pain, less disease, less symptoms. There's more than the common experience of health. There's more than managing or treating your symptoms and conditions. There's more than what most people expect from healing. There is more than returning to your state of health just before your condition or symptom developed. You want and deserve more. Seeking less is often outdated, outworn, and can take you backward. While at times, treating the condition or symptom may make you feel more comfortable and may be vital to your health. And having less pain, less uncertainty can be seductive. It is often just not enough. You know there's so much more to life than comfort, balance, and the ordinary. And you want more. Ordinary ways of experiencing and acting and using your body, mind, and energy will continue to restore you to the state that lags the need for the symptoms or disease. The state that was a cry for change, a cry for more. Healing is not just about your condition. It's about you, the life you have lived, the life you are living, the life you must live, and the gifts that you're here to share. You can be, you can have, you can give so much more. Beginning now. You sense that you're part of a larger family, community, and world, and healing yourself is part of a much bigger circle. A circle that includes the energy and organizing wisdom that creates everything and everyone. That transforms and awakens body, emotions, mind, and spirit. That coordinates, motivates, inspires, and helps you make more productive and happier choices. The state that heals you as a person and everyone whose lives you touch. If all this more belonged to you would have healing that is extraordinary. And if that's what you crave, then you are a seer.
And the next slide, please. Yes. D.D. Palmer said, chiropractic as a science is founded upon tone. This is an essential element to understand. There's a universal intelligence in everything. It is molecular vibration in every atom. Molecular vibration, according to D. Palmer, is the basis of consciousness. The shape, position, tension, and tone of your spine is in relationship to the shape, tension, and tone in your life. I have found in my chiropractic journey that there are 5 basic spinal tension patterns that occur in the spine. Each one alters, as D.D. Palmer speaks about, the tension in the nerve. And why is that important? Because the basic premise of chiropractic is consistent with modern science. And that is there's a vibrational wisdom, a consciousness, a universal intelligence in everything. And it channels through the central nervous system and through the spine. And according to D.D. Palmer, if you stretch the neuroskeleton, you alter the tension and tonicity of the nerve, which alters the vibrational communication and alters the morphology of the cells. Now we know after a party, a sperm and an egg get together, and they form 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. And they form a morula, like a berry. A streak develops in that, the pyramid streak. The nerves develop from there. And from that point on, the organs develop. From that point on, the universal intelligence, vibrational consciousness of creation is assembled by innate forces through the consciousness of the mental impulse, which is a multi-dimensional, multi-spatial expression of intelligence. And from this point on, the quality of that vibrational wave, which is known as an acoustic wave, determines the morphology of the cells of your body. It also determines the way you experience the world, the morphology and shape, the meaning you give to things. Next slide, please. So D.D. Palmer said, I believe this intelligence segmented into as many parts as there are individual expressions of life. That spirit, whether considered as a whole or individually, is advancing upward and onward towards perfection. I'm going to pause at this point. I believe also, as we'll speak about, that any intelligence is 6 different subset intelligences. We've mapped out the mathematics of self-organization of each of these. Each of these regulate a different domain of a person's life and is addressed differently to the spine. So this intelligence expressed in the nervous system, which is the means of communication to and from individualized spirit. The condition known as tone is the tension and firmness, the retinency and elasticity of tissue in a state of health, normal existence. that the mental and physical condition known as disease is a disordered state because of an unusual amount of tension above or below that of tone, that normal and abnormal amounts of strain or laxity are due to the position of the osseous framework, the neuroskeleton, which not only serves as a protector of the nervous system, but as a regulator of tension. Research in the network wave that developed years ago and continues to develop shows that this wave that moves the spine, this undulation, is what's called an acoustic wave. An acoustic wave is what carries information from point A and point B. If you're between two speakers at a rock concert, you feel the pulse pressure wave. That's an acoustic wave. Those acoustic waves that we can hear, we call sound. But every atom is self-organized by these type of waves. Why is this important? Well, recent research shows that the nerve impulse is not first an electrical impulse. It is a vibrational acoustic wave. And as it travels the nervous system, the alteration in the neural structure, alteration in the tone, in the structural neural connectome, as it's called, actually alters the expression of that information and consciousness. That is how anesthetics work. They alter, they melt the insulation of the nerve, which alters the tone and alters the consciousness. And let's continue. B.J. Palmer, the big idea. So the adjustment of subluxation to release pressure on nerves to restore mental impulse flow, not nerve impulse. The mental impulse is the expression of consciousness adapted to the body. And the mental impulse will have as one of its many outproducts or byproducts, a nerve impulse. This is a big difference between chiropractors practicing something else and practicing chiropractic. To restore health, it's big enough to build the thoughts and actions of the world. The idea that knows the cause, that one can correct the cause of dis-ease, not disease. And the cause of dis-ease is alteration in the perfect communication of the organizing vibrational wisdom of the universe, known as consciousness, embodied. And the vertebral subluxation is what that aspect of which chiropractors address to help shift this. The one is the idea that knows the cause, that one can correct the cause of dis-ease, is one of the biggest ideas known. Without it, nations fall. With it, nations rise. This idea is the biggest I know. These principles I spoke to you, I've dedicated my life to with research that's never been done before. In understanding coherence and nervous system, understanding that every adjustment has a structural element, a behavioral element, and a perceptual element of that. Some research in a document, in a publication in neuroimaging, spoke about, looked at the structural connectome, which is like all the structural elements that maintain the communication between neurons across space, which is known as consciousness. And why do people develop Alzheimer's? And the summary of it is consistent with principles of epi-healing and reorganizational healing, and in my NetworkSpinal concepts, and all of my what's called epi-energetics, which is the overarching view of the relationship of energy and information to produce consciousness and reality. And at the end of it, it says there is a individualized triad of structure, behavior, which is also, or function, and that of cognition, perception. And if this relationship between structure, behavior, and perception or consciousness or awareness is altered, that will alter the actual connect tone with the central nervous system and alter how neurons oscillate, vibrate, and communicate across space. And it's probably the basic cause of alterations in consciousness and brain function. Next, please. The art of chiropractic, I see it in a different way. And I'm one of the living masters of chiropractic, science, art, and philosophy together. And ultimately, adjustment to subluxation is not the most important thing. Liberating the organizing wisdom of life is. And every practice is ultimately defined by why you're taking care of people. What's the higher goal you have? And do your outcomes actually assess that that's happening? Now, the outcome for correction of subluxation is not enough, because with it has the structure of the central nervous system change, the behavior, the perception, the consciousness. Does the person experience the world differently? A person treats the condition in whatever discipline they are. If the person's still a mean, nasty person, then the organizing wisdom has not been expressed enough. And we must step up that our outcomes are actually starting to match the magic of healing humanity and chiropractic without boundaries. The art of chiropractic is the art of coherence. Coherence means that if you have one nerve cell in this part of the body, another nerve cell there, even across distance, that they cooperate as one. They are energy efficient as one. A loss of coherence is the basis of a loss of the ability of innate and universal intelligence to communicate and create form in the body. You take a flashlight and you shine it outside. In the daytime, you may not see it. If you take a AAA battery with a laser pointing and the coherent light, who could go all the way up to a satellite. The nervous system works in coherence. Dis-ease is a lack of coherence. And the art of chiropractic is quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement means that two particles formed by the same photon of light across time and space will respond as if they're one. That's what love is. We have research that shows that NetworkSpinal, the NetworkSpinal analysis in this latest version of NetworkSpinal, which is more focused on coherence and quantum entanglement, is one of the greatest levels of coherence the central nervous system ever seen. And now we're using quantum entanglement, quantum mathematics, studying it, because what BJ talked about, how nations rise and fall, that's the quantum entanglements, because we do not see the world as it is, we see it as we are. And it's a coherence and quantum entanglement of the light and resonance we shine that impacts the world. That's why I'm sure you are a chiropractor. The quantum entanglement with the union of the masculine and feminine force of creation. What do you mean by that? Well, all creation requires masculine and feminine forces. That's what it's about. At the beginning in Genesis, masculine and feminine were one being attached back to back. And they shall never be separated. At the tree of knowledge, I am naked, I am man, I am woman. You saw the separation that the mind creates. That created the movement away from the garden. I believe chiropractic, in its purest sense, has the ability to bring the whole human Garden of Eden back. And out of its principle as a reality. And we must up our skill of our assessment, our analysis, our communication, our art. So I mention this why? Well, the feminine looks more at the relationships between things. The masculine looks more at the parts. The masculine will look at the bone sticking out and going to move it because it looks at the bony prominence that's sticking out there. The feminine says, yeah, but what about the soft tissue, the connective tissue? How's the person responding? The masculine says the goal is we realign the vertebra. We have this going on. The instrument can change, whatever changed. The feminine said, yeah, but how's the person's life different? What was the process like? There are whole different outcomes to look at. The art must involve both. And it's founded upon tone. Myth. If I can deliver the perfect force and the precise line of drive to move the vertebra to set it into motion, and the perfect adjustment happens, that's more of a masculine element. Show me how to set up and thrust, and I'll be more better as a chiropractor. And there's the mature masculine, the immature masculine, mature feminine, immature feminine, and the mature feminine, and the blending of it both together. When you set up, you got it. When Gonstead talked about setting up in the vertebra and feeling that place, that space, that's the feminine. The thrust was more the masculine element. And adjustment is expression of the culmination of profound, intimate relationship between the patient or practice member. And if you heard the term practice member, I coined it in 1982 when I realized that patients are someone coming in because they wanted to be fixed and have the doctor, whether it be correction or subluxation, whatever it is, take care of as few visits as possible. And a practice member is someone who wanted to collaborate with me and helping ignite the forces of creation in health and healing in a bigger model, which I then went to research. What is that model? University study, the largest study ever done, health-related quality of life study, physical, emotional, mental, a quality of life, spiritual, which we really call life enjoyment, and the overall wellness of the individual in all domains. The largest study ever done and still done with assessments. And I modified my network chiropractic into then network spinal analysis by then checking for the person's experience of the healing was matching the clinical systems. And then I changed that to NetworkSpinal, Network 3.0, a few years ago, as we understood more about the science of coherence and entanglement to create even greater results. An adjustment is an expression of the culmination of profound, intimate relationship between patient, practice member, and souls wishing to be ignited and informed and to experience the sheer magic of the organizing force of creation. Is your art matching the philosophy? Is it matching the science? Where the world is today, we must make sure that happens. The missing link of force is applied inverse to the intimacy of the fields between the two of you, merging masculine and feminine energies and the alignment of the timing and location of the force. Force is inverse to presence. Presence is intimacy. The more force you use, the less present you are. And the more you think you're creating the adjustment as compared to the coherent fields between the two of you doing this with coherent energy. So often, either a more culturally conditioned masculine feminine cultural model is applied to chiropractic practice and assessment to the adjustment. The old masculine model, immature masculine, harder, faster, deeper, make noise, as compared to show up at the right place, the right time, the right presence, enough respect and reverence for the organizing forces, and then apply the chiropractic in that space. Next. One of the more important charts I've seen was Reggie Gold's Shrine of Life. And he got his PhD philosophy degree based upon this document, and I suggest you read it. And he says, intelligence really is data. Everything we know is data, is information. Information is important, but intelligence is when it's purposefully applied. Force is also known as energy. The chiropractic meaning of life is the expression of intelligence through matter, innate intelligence through matter. The purpose of intelligence to express purposeful force. The purpose of force is to take information and help it with enough energy to be organized into intelligence. And life is the expression of that. Life is a triunity, intelligence, force, and matter. That set the stage for all of my understandings and research. And it set the stage for what we now call epienergetics. Next. Epienergetics is the conscious and ecological use of energy and information to create extraordinary in all domains of life in the world. And it could be the domain of health or your body sense, domain of relationships and intimacy, the domain of business and finance, the domain of impacting the world. Because chiropractic can affect all of that. It doesn't mean that is what we're attempting to do, but we must let people know these are the outcomes because the person itself is healing. And whatever you think about, whatever you remember, whatever you recall is influenced by that. Epienergetics means around energy is a field of information or consciousness. This is the chiropractic principle, the linking of energy and information, consistent with the organizing intelligence, and that your force helps not only put the missing link in as the force, but helps the body recognize the energy and forces that have been bound up. Energy and information has been alienated, isolated, shamed, redirected, and denied. And it is put together by this organizing wisdom. Take a piece of wood, put a match to it. The wood is information called wood. When the energy or force comes out of the wood, it can no longer sustain itself. It becomes entropic because everything is going towards randomness, is going towards disbursement. Then the energy comes out of the wood, information of wood, it doesn't exist, becomes ash. This is what dis-ease is in the world. The same through your heart or your lungs, your kidney, your relationship, your business, your finance. Take the energy out of it and it can no longer be organized by its innate way. And it becomes something less. Epienergetics is the center, is a new name for my 4 decades of research and development, all the methods. Epi-healing looks at the healing, bringing together the change that changes every aspect of the world. Epi-living is how you live congruently an innate guided life. And NetworkSpinal is a chiropractic application that takes all these principles in every assessment, communication, expression, and outcome, make sure the conscious and ecological use of energy information to create extraordinary is occurring in a bigger circle. Next, please. When I gave my first chiropractic seminar in 1984, and Orno is speaking here, on the program also, and some of the speakers were at those early seminars. He was actually spoke at that first seminar. The whole idea then was saying there's 2 types of vertebral subluxation. I didn't know about a wave. I just had the pure chiropractic philosophy. And I recognized that I wanted to bring together DD and BJ's principles as one. So one of the things I wanted to see happen is that why do some chiropractors use low force? Some do a toggle recoil, some a drop piece, some puts people on blocks. SOT is becoming popular. Some use low force adjusting, some use a toughness low force touch. Some looked at BJ Palmer's principles that talked that in 1920s, BJ said that there's 2 types of subluxation. There is a single nerve pressure, which on this chart is a class A, vertebral misalignment with nerve root pressure. And then there's the multiple cord tensions associated with the stretching of the spinal cord and the meninges. And in 26, he said, let's stop going after individual vertebral distortions because it only affects a single nerve pressure. Let's look where the meninges and the whole spine is stretched. And let's look at that. And until that's addressed, the structural distortions are compensations or misalignments and don't create as much of a difference. And he showed the osteological laboratory of Palmer where all these spines were all mechanically distorted, but said you only want to adjust them when the body is non-adaptive. And with that, there'll be a temperature fixation, and he checked that with a neurocolometer. And in 1927, most of the school, I think it's about 3,000 students, 2,700 left because he said, stop doing what we're doing before. Because you want to adjust to someone where the biggest area of spinal cord tension and brain dysfunction can occur. And that was in the upper cervical spine. And stop putting the force you're putting in, put a toggle recoil, an oscillatory force into it. Talked about oscillation, because oscillation, D.D. Palmer said, was the base of consciousness, and your adjustment should be that type of element. Later on, before he died, by 1956, he said he had a second son, it would be Logan, who held a gentle touch affecting the spine. And in his Stevenson's textbook etiology section, he said there's 4 causes of subluxation. There is circumferential constriction, the bone against nerve, mechanical pressure against it. There is heat expansion, meningeal occlusion, swelling meningeals. There's torqued meningeal occlusion, where the meninges are torqued, and with that it alters the nerve and its vibration, as his father talked about. And this scar tissue formation, and said all of those things ultimately are associated with stretching of the spinal cord. I looked at chiropractic care, and I realized some chiropractors would take the high TP and adjusted or transverse and use a physical mechanical vertebra to realign the vertebra. Other ones looked at, most chiropractics was a system approach. Where's the occiput sacrum relationship to it? Is C2 lined over the sacrum? And they looked at that, and I realized my whole beginning initially was free up the spinal cord tension patterns, which at that time I called a facilitated subluxation, because it kept the person in the loop of the trauma that happened in life. And the nerve was still firing, even if there was no physical, emotional, chemical stressor involved. And that was associated with stretching of the spinal cord, which potentiated the same memory and the same traumatic memory there. And I said, before you go for the structural distortions, check the facilitated, which later on I called meningeal subluxations. But then when state board said, oh, if you affect the meninges, you must be doing medical surgery. And I guess there are in some cases no cure for stupidity, no matter how smart someone is. I said, let me define it as a facilitated subluxation, because it's keeping the body in that dis-ease pattern with a change in perception consistent with that trauma, a change in their physiological and educated mind behavior consistent with that, and a lock in the structure. And I realized that if the stress tension of the spinal cord, the nerve root will be distorted and the vertebral misaligned. And if you put pressure on the nerve root, the spinal cord will go to protect itself. So we have a structural distortion, which I call defense posture, which I later would find out that with my phasing system, the 5 phases of tension patterns that we address. And the facilitated subluxation was addressed with a talgo recoil, a breathing pattern, a gentle force, a drop piece, and the structural ones were just with the physical mechanical move the freaking bone model. The facilitated was more of a feminine approach. The structure is the masculine there. That was the beginning of my network approach. This defense structure of the body will result in stress physiology, the adrenal cortical pattern, a stress physiology. When you stretch a nerve, it's altered its sensory, motor, and autonomic component. When you stretch a nerve, also the mechanical tension, the membrane of any cell, especially the nerve. What also happens with that is you actually change the life cycle of the nerve. You activate death chemicals. The body in stress physiology will not allow the frontal lobe of the cortex to be activated. And now you live in stress as you see people separate in the world, fighting each other, complaining about things, upset about things, attacking one another. And there is no higher order change that occurs, that only occurs when both sides of the cortex can be effective or function effectively with the absence of the stress physiology and the spinal cord tension and subluxation patterns there. That's a real important idea, that the stress is not caused by what's happening in the world. It's caused by the observer, your experience of your spine, the mechanical tension in your spine, the function of it. And now, the facilitated subluxations are more caused or associated with emotional, psychological stresses that you're still living into, or chemical stresses. And the chiropractors who did the moving the bone practice tend to have more of a mechanical practice, and those who had the more facilitated type had more of the emotional practices, where people had emotional situations, psychological or chemical stresses occurring. Chiropractic deals with it all. But regardless how you address it, I want to see that all of this is impacted. Next, please. So around the year 1999, I sat in the room with Jerry Klum. And I was upset because I said, Jerry, what the heck are we really doing when we're adjusting people? I think we're doing is every technique, if it's really a chiropractic technique, it's assessing the body, where it's building up energy or tension that can't dissipate it, where the information within that tension is withheld, and looking to put a force into the areas that will affect the most areas, usually occiput to cervicals or sacrococcyx, mostly those areas first. Even Gonstead said sympathetic or parasympathetic, most wanted to adjust 1 or 2 vertebrae at a time. And every assessment system in chiropractic would take a look and see how would it affect the entire spinal system. When I was in chiropractic college, 1977, I graduated, started practice 78. At that time, they were starting to introduce diversified technique. Instructors called it perversified. And they said that, and it was not a technique. Diversified was never a chiropractic technique. It was if you, for example, did your chiropractic assessment, global full assessment of the system, then you would say, wow, I use a toggle recall upper cervical, or I may have done a thumb move on a C5, or side posture on a sacrum. And if that particular maneuver did not activate the global spinal change, or I saw the person change also, the coherence in the person, the sense of beingness, if that didn't change, then you may use a diversified force application with the same intention, and you would always apply a force to the spine, knowing exactly how it would affect the rest of the spine, and how it is, knowing the nerve chart, how it would affect the organs, what was going on. My models on top of that could say, well, there could be a chemical stress or emotional or physical by understanding the system. So I said, Jerry, what are we really doing? So we're adjusting subluxation. That's a strategy. Why? What's globally happening? I said, we're looking to have access to the system for it to take the force we put, and we want to be as ecological as possible, least force to make the greatest change in the system. And it will then self-regulate subluxations in a way that may also produce behavioral, perceptual, and structural changes. So I said, as long as I'm looking to correct or fix a subluxation, another boogeyman thing to frighten people, but I'm still practicing medicine. I said, what if I wanted to instead improve at a level never seen before spinal and neural integrity, and a new level of stability that allowed instability change and would organize? So then that's the case. It's doing something different, because I'm no longer trying to fix or correct something or make something go away. Because as long as you're moving away from something, how patients move away from something, they're never moving towards. Yes, they're correcting subluxation. That may be happening. But what are they moving towards? The full innate expression. What does it look like behaviorally, structurally, perceptually, in your outcomes, in your assessments, in your tests, in the person's life? So I took a look at Punjabi's model of spinal neural integrity. And they said there's a passive subsystem within the spine, vertebral ligaments and discs, which are not passive. They just need something to move them, muscles, the active subsystems. And then what controls are all the neural control systems. So a person has a physical, emotional, chemical stress. There's too much information going to the system more than it can adapt to. The neural control system gets blown out. With that, it can function effectively. Stress hormones get activated. The body goes into a defense structure posture of the spine so that the cortex does not have to receive these toxic messages. It goes into primitive system here The muscles constrict and move the bone in a way holding the bone so it won't be hurt. The passive system reduces the afferent signal into the central nervous system so that it doesn't have to experience a toxic element. Hence, a vertebral subluxation is produced. What we want to see with every assessment is does the passive system starting to shift its ability? As respiration goes through the system, does it change its afferent signals into CNS? Is the active system muscle starting to change its tension patterns now, and patterns that were associated with defense strategies or painful experiences or traumas in life, are they starting to shift so that now the nervous system is able to experience a greater area? On top of that, there's one more system called the emotional system. And it's not located in your space, not located, it's like your lap when you stand up with us ago. The emotional subsystem is the net amount of tension and vibration or oscillation of any part of the body. So when the spinal system is under tension and holding a certain way of consciousness, certain way, there's an alteration in the emotions you experience. And please remember that the highest concentration of neuropeptides, neurochemicals, are in this dorsal horn of the spinal cord. So you're not experiencing what's going on or what's going on in your environment, your relationship, or your health. You're experiencing the common neurochemicals, hooked up neuropeptides in the spine associated with that posture and that energy level. And when the spinal neural control system changes, the muscles change and the bones start shifting their relationship, suddenly new neurochemicals hit the dorsal holocord, and now your experience could change. Until then, no matter how much money you make, or how much someone tells you how they love you, how many people you serve, you can still experience life the same way. The spine is an organ of emotion. Next. I was involved, and Danny Knowles was involved, and some of the other speakers here on the presentation, in a conference hosted by the Australian Spinal Research Foundation. And the schools that are known as the Rubicon schools, those schools wanted to get through a definition of subluxation that is a joint dysfunction with associated things. But once it becomes a joint dysfunction, first, it now becomes a manipulative therapy. And once it's manipulative therapy, then the only things taught at the schools will be things that address manipulation. And now it's then it'll be medicine. We were not going to accept that. So based upon a conference with great people and a lot of my input on research on coherence and beingness and things of that nature, this is a definition that was come up with. As a result of the consultation process, the foundation, and I applaud Spinal Research Foundation Australia, please support them. And there's a new straight school opening up also in Australia. As a result of the consultation process, the foundation's board have formulated and adopted a conceptual definition of vertebral subluxation and a testable model that's applicable to research and chiropractic practice, both of which reflect current available evidence and understanding. For the purpose of the research agenda, the Australian Spinal Research Foundation currently defines that a vertebral subluxation is a diminished state of being, compromising a state of reduced coherence, altered biomechanical function, and altered neurological function and adaptability. That's what it is. That's the basis. That's the central theme of my model of chiropractic. So when we're taking care of this spine, is there enhanced coherence? How does that function? How does it show up? Is there a greater state of beingness? And I promise you take care of people. That's the biggest thing you take a look at. And if there's not those things, there's probably still altered neurological function, adaptability, and the biomechanical function. But the point is that a person may have techniques or methods that the joint dysfunction is almost incidental. It's the mental impulse that's off and everything else functions. Now, since there are structural, behavioral, and perceptual ways of experiencing the world, since these things happen, some people may adjust and there'll be very little structural change, but the innate expression will show up more in the way they perceive the world, the meaning they give to things change. Or their spine moves differently. The surface EMG and thermography may change more. Or you have people who the last thing that changes is the structure. Or the first thing changes structure, they don't feel a difference. There's a different order. And in reorganizational healing, and one of the papers and concepts I developed, and FE healing, which is the layperson's understanding. Academically, it's reorganizational healing, reorganized entire level. From a simpler perspective, it's FE healing. FE healing beyond ordinary healing, dealing with the relationship of information and energy together. So each person has an order. Some people first create structural change, some personal behavioral change, some are perceptual change. And in NetworkSpinal, we integrate the way we adjust people by watching how their body responds and use that system that responds most effectively. So before we go further here, okay, I'd like to answer some questions.
Hi, Donny.
Go ahead.
Falou que está preparado para responder as perguntas, gente.
Pessoal, alguém tem perguntas para fazer para o Donny? É isso, Donny? Pergunta aí. Vivi para o Donny.
É isso, ele falou que está preparado para responder as perguntas.
Silvia, eu acho que o que você pode traduzir para ele é que as perguntas que nós temos aqui, que seria para ele hoje, o que é uma subluxação, qual que é a diferença de spinal analysis que ele comentou, já estão todas respondidas.
Isso.
E aí a gente queria saber se o pessoal que está aqui, eles têm alguma pergunta diferente.
Tá bom, perguntem vocês aí pro pessoal. Eu vou passar isso para ele.
Tá bom. Conversa aí com ele enquanto a gente vê no chat se chega alguma pergunta, então, tá bom?
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Tony.
Is someone going to ask me a question in English?
Well, no, this is Sylvia again, and I was talking to the people, and they said that most of the questions that they would like to question you, you know, make a question for you, you already
Answered?
Exactly.
Yes, it's working.
It's
Okay.
on your presentation, but they are still making sure that there's any other question, you know.
Because I will continue, but I thought that by this time, if there were questions, you know, I've been around the block a few times, so to speak, here.
Okay,
And
so let me translate to them.
generally know what people really, the hunger people have, and I want to make sure that I'm helping fill some more of that hunger.
Ok. Ele falou que ele está muito feliz e que ele só tinha parado para realmente perguntar se alguém tinha alguma questão, mas no caso ele está aí disponível para responder, e então ele vai continuar a falar, tá bom, gente? Ok, keep on.
So let's continue.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. So in 1987, I was able to produce what we called a somatopsychic wave, a spinal wave movement that many people know about network. The wave in and of itself may be a good thing, may not be a good thing. Okay. The wave properly achieved is an extraordinary thing. And to produce a wave for a wave's sake violates everything that I've developed my career and life on. So we have to make sure that it is a proper expression of what we're looking for here. So Candace Pert, who is a friend of mine, in her book, Molecules of Emotion, and she discovered the opiate receptor site and that there's not separate systems. For example, neuropeptides are more neuropeptides of insulin produced by the nerve cell than by the pancreas. The neuropeptides are produced by the nerves, which then must make the nerve a gland also there. There are neuropeptides in the heart that are produced that regulate brain function. You see, something I want to help people get across here is this regional area of the way we look at the body, orthopedics, neurology, endocrinology. It doesn't work that way. The immune system is mostly the nervous system. The vagus nerve regulates most of the immune allergic response. Okay, understand that immunologic response. The white blood cell contains every one of the neuropeptides produced, which means the white blood cell actually is part of the immune system there, and the emotion systems. 50% of the immune system is in the gut. This idea of a nerve, a single neuron sends a message to another part, to the neuron next to it, the electrical signal that regulates stuff, that's totally gone. It's not the way it works. It's one whole system. And they now are recognizing that the nervous system functions on multi dimensions. Yes, different dimensions, which have different time-space relationships. The quantum world goes speed of light or faster. So it's really interesting because quantum world, you can't really go slowly speed of light. The relativity can't go faster. They both are integrated. So in Candace Pert's work, she spoke about the somatopsychic network, and the body is the mind. And the subconscious mind is in the spinal cord and deeper in. And she mentioned my emotional subsystem, my emotional way, a way of seeing things, and the emotions as the vibrational resonance, which also acoustic vibration, and how that organizes everything. And she looked at that and she mentioned me in a few different places in her book. So I called it a somatopsychic network. Well, everyone's saying, oh, let's help your mind develop. The big thing we found with ever doing any psychotherapy on people, like trying to make changes of any nature, as the spine changed, they made healthier choices. They thought differently. They gave different meaning to things. Their life changed. So I wanted to focus on the somatopsychic element of it. So I had gotten to a point in care where I found 4 phases in 1986, and then I think around, and then later in late 86, 87, I found a 5th phase, which involved the mechanical tension of both ends of the spine. And there was more, because there's always more. I was inspired early in my chiropractic career by a few different people. One first was in Reginald Gold, which is chiropractic philosophy. I was inspired chiropractically by Tom Whitehorn, which was my mentor in school. He worked the B.J. Palmer Clinic with Lyle Sherman up at cervical work, and he taught me many things, philosophy, many things extraordinary. He had an x-ray lab where he would do upper cervical x-rays, and he would give me an x-ray and give me about 7 seconds to look at it visually for each of the base posterior, the AP lateral open mouth, and lateral view. And he wanted me to draw lines in my mind and come up with a listing. I would mash it then. He said, allow, like BJ did, allow that person's innate to speak to you. And what he told me was that when your desire to help liberate innate potential is so great, and more than your importance for anything for yourself, that person's innate and educated will communicate and tell you things, which is really important. So I found a way of making a wave in people. And this conversation is not about how that happens, but the fact that it did happen. I have articles in the Journal of Transpersonal Psychology, of Transpersonal Psychology. The field of transpersonal psychology is that area of psychology that deals with non-ordinary experience, a spiritual state, and says most psychiatric problems are a case of rested spiritual development. And they asked me to put an article in there, which I did, which takes all of my concepts from a transpersonal, non-ordinary state of conscious perspective. So you could hear all my theories from the lens of that building up to it. And then I have articles that I published in Ken Wilber's journal, Integral Theory, where reorganizational healing is a framework for the new integral medicine And integral theory is both the patient and the doctor are both co-evolving through different four spheres of consciousness, or 4 quadrants. So I have papers in that. We developed material in Journal of Alternative Complementary Medicine from that perspective. So there's lots of history you could find out about. But this wave, people would go through, they have a wave, the body would move like this, the hands move it off, they'd have different hand positions they take, they breathe in certain ways. Now, I grew practice as a straight chiropractor there, a straight chiropractic philosophy, but wanting to have one of my other teachers here was Guy Riekman and Joe Felicia, who developed the Renaissance movement, which is really for the human potential movement, with the book, The Magical Child by Joseph Chilton Pierce, and how do we create magical people. And the talks I gave, and many of the speakers here during this conference also gave those same talks with the flip charts. It said, hello, my name is Donald Epstein. My degree is DC, Doctor of Chiropractic, and I practice that form of chiropractic, not straight chiropractic. People come to me for 4 reasons. They have a sickness, pain, disease, and infirmity. And they heard that other people with chiropractic care have helped with a similar situation. Number 2, they want to prevent a sickness, pain, disease, and infirmity. Number 3, they want to improve themselves. Number 4, they want to improve the world. And they had a picture of a person soaring like this there. So obviously you want to improve the world. Even that time I said, do people really want to come in for care to improve the world? And I decided shortly after that, you know what? I'm sure the spine is different in someone who wants to move away from something, someone who wants to prevent something, someone who wants to improve themselves, and someone who wants to improve the world. That probably has different functioning of the brain. To improve yourself involves more energy, more bandwidth, more information, more cortex ability to self-regulate and there make better choices there, improve the world. There must be a spiritual aspect of that. And I said, I want to know what the difference in the spine over time, perception, behavior, structure, what they look like, how they function, how the energy moves through them. So this wave came through, and it's dramatic. People had spiritual awakenings, never had spiritual awakenings. And sometimes the spine improved. People told me, well, it is a Kundalini. I didn't know what Kundalini was as it moved through that spiritual tradition spoke about there. So I started reading, I started studying all different spiritual traditions. And we started being attacked in different states because this wave was changing people. All major newspapers all around the world were writing magazines. People, they changed their life. They changed their religion. They experienced the universe. They woke up beyond this physical world to another level. And sometimes the spines didn't improve much. And I understood that. And I wanted to be the chiropractor's chiropractor, the healer's healer. I wanted to make sure that we could find out, what is this wave? What does it have to do with a higher level of healing? How is it physical, emotional, social, and spiritual involved in this? What's really going on? And the first study we did was in 1994-5, the largest retrospective study ever done in the health profession. Physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual. And we found when the wave came through people and moved through people, if it happened before there was a respiratory wave rocking the vertebra, changing the spinal integrity, so to speak, to that level, then the quality of life was not much improved. If they had the respiratory wave first, and then the network wave, their quality of life was better. The earlier they had the wave, the longer they stayed in care, and the longer that the high-end life changes. Some other things. If a person had the wave and was not aware of it, which kind of seems strange, well, my body moved, I was itchy, they weren't aware of it, they did not have much of a change, and their wellness index did not change. So I said, why is that? I started realizing, oh my God, awareness is part of it. Now, in 1994, I published a book, 12 Stage of Healing, talking about 12 Stage of Healing, or conscious we call Express, and develop SRIs, Somato Respiratory Integration exercises, because if our practitioners couldn't practice, if I can give them another way of activating a somatic-based system, we can still help change the world. But if they could do that, we could put all of the concepts of spirituality and psychosocial changes in the healing box. So as a chiropractor, we're still adjusting subluxations, and then the practitioners still talk about it in practice and still expand the model of healing rather than constricting it, which was happening with insurance and putting chiropractic in the back pocket of medicine and what's called the chiropractic cartel, medical cartel there. So we started doing research, and I developed network spinal analysis, which grew up from network chiropractic, because now we wanted to produce the wave in the person as a means of destabilizing those sensory motor strategies, the central nervous system strategies that kept them in defense. And things grew wonderfully. But then I said, unless you're assessing people for what the average patient had in 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, the physical, emotional, the mental, the stress, the quality of life, the spiritual changes, life changes, unless you were doing that, you weren't doing network spinal analysis, because network spinal analysis involved the person's conscious awareness of their body, the responses that change. Because you can't be consciously aware and be in your cortex and not be in your cortex. Once the stress hormones hit and you're still in that defense structural physiology, you cannot use the higher order. So we started realizing that. I developed care that would produce sensory motor strategies consistent with a wider range of intelligences. And every spiritual tradition talks about a field around the body and in the body that has an organizing intelligence that keeps you alive and gives you certainty, and one that helps you make psychological change, develop a sense of me thinking and a sense of self, and transcend it or start transforming that. And then spiritual levels, and they all map them out. And personal transformational tools and spiritual tools activated that. And I wanted to start studying the signals going up and down the spine. And in 1987, we started studying, in 1997, we started studying the surface electromyographic signal of the wave and found out extraordinary things that have rocked neurophysiology. People are earning their master's and PhD degrees studying the mathematics of self-organization of the wave, and we now have the mathematics for each of what was called levels of care and network, which produce certain motor strategies associated with the wave and rocking a vertebra. And now we believe we have the signature of each of the organizing wisdom that every spiritual tradition has spoke about. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. They all speak about them. Hindu, the mathematical signatures for this. The network wave is an acoustic vibrational wave that's carried through the nervous system that conditions the space around the nerves that create forms and structure. Let's continue from here. With the research that we did, Jerry Clum, so going back to the conversation with Jerry Clum, I said, instead of looking to correct a subluxation, I want to advance spinal and neural integrity and develop new strategies of spinal neural integrity that as these subsystems dissipate tension from the central nervous system, it could produce new qualities never seen. We have to upgrade what we now know as human operating system because we're information systems. And when we're doing the studies, so I said, so I want to do is, I don't want to correct just a subluxation per se. I want to access a spinal gateway. A gateway is an access point involved in the research at the University of California, Irvine Neurology Department and Neuroanatomy with Dr. Bob Blanks. He was researching acupuncture at the time. And they put the acupuncture needle and they started migrating, moving it around. And as they moved it around, they found that the acupuncturist with some ultrasound study seemed to be following the area of highest conductivity of the nerve and the highest hydration. So in that study, I never read the end of it, but the research said what the conclusion was coming with is that the acupuncture point is a shift in dimensions and time space. And that the acupuncture meridian is a multi-dimensional, multi-spatial communication of consciousness. And the acupuncturist is going into this fourth dimension, height, width, depth, time, and actually following to activate in the physiology a higher order phenomenon, which includes healing. So I said, that's what I'm doing. I'm activating a spinal gateway. And I've been telling people, hold the contact at the vertebra in the area that actually has the greatest rapport. Then I realized as long as I'm going for the spinous or transverse, why? Because that's where the bony lever is, masculine model, move the bone there. But ultimately, it's the articulations in that area where everything happens. The cell membrane is where everything happens. In the articulation, the tissues, the areas where it's happening. So I said, why don't I put the force instead, a very gentle force, at the spinal gateway? I started doing this around 1999. And watch the change happen there, because if, say, a person had particular trauma, articulations locked, at least two of the articulations are still associated with the traumatic defense strategy. So if I'm putting a force in the spine, it's still bouncing against the old defense pattern or the fearful defense pattern. What if I could put it in a spot where there's a higher threshold for excitability, not lower? And you just touch it, because the way dominant patterns of the nervous system are eliminated, if you could activate, it's called a non-specific stimulus. Put a stimulus in the body can't recognize it, sub-threshold. And what if we do that? And then it goes directly to all articulations, and the wave can drive it through. We started moving into addressing spinal gateways with the principle of spinal entrainment, which is where the central nervous system takes its energy, force, and all of its resources to give new energy information in the system. So around that time, Jerry Clem said, you want to see this article in Wilson and Cleary from the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. That's what you want to look at. Because I think this defines what you're doing. And he said that health-related quality of life was associated with both biomedical and social science changes. And he said in medical schools and all professional schools, they train people only on the biomedical and symptom status. Yet, the definition of health, of optimal physical, emotional function and well-being, and social and spiritual well-being, is social science. They must use outcomes for health-related quality of life that includes all, and that's what we did in the first study ever actually done, and the greatest study I've ever done, University of California, Irvine. But he says they say in this article, you have the characteristics of the individual at the top. You have the characteristics of the environment, and everything is a battle between that. In illness, what they do is they take a subluxated person and try to adapt that subluxated person to their environment. I say in any potential, what if the individual could be optimized? And the individual could impact the environment more than the environment impacts the individual. That's how we have to change the world. So on the left of the chart, you have biological, physiological variables. Your laboratory test, your surface EMG, X-ray. It's called paraclinical. It's not about the person. It's about some test. They'll look at X-ray, look at a test, and look at a biopsy and says, well, this is you. No, these are some cancer cells. It's not me. On the totality of all of it. And the symptom status. And in medicine, you want to reduce the symptom on the biological laboratory test, and the person's well. Get this, there is no relationship between treatment of disease long-term as done and improved health and wellness. There's treatment of disease. Health and wellness involves all of that. Now, social science starts, yeah, you treated my condition, but am I more functional? An occupational therapist looks at functional status also. Well, what are my health perceptions, my belief about myself? Am I ill? Am I well? Research shows your belief of how well you are or ill you are is a greater predictor of survival and mortality than the stuff on the left side. And after all, what's your overall quality of life? Chiropractors, listen up on this. If you're focused on the vertebral subluxation, the variable, the instrumentation of that, and you're not assessing functional status, their general perceptions of health and their life, their overall quality of life, and discussing it with them, you're missing the ballpark. You're missing it without chiropractic, without boundaries. If your overall quality of life improves, will you think your general perceptions and meaning you give to things will change? Of course. If your quality of life changes and your overall meaning you give to things change, do you think you'll be more functional? Yes. If you're more functional, think your symptoms will change? Yes. If you go, more you go to the right, the more you affect the person, more bandwidth is needed, more information is necessary. A different spinal structure is necessary, different assessments. But check this out. The individual, if a person is adverse to pain, if they have more symptoms, will they think they're getting worse? No. What if the person realized that pain is a means of interrupting the life? Well, great, my life is doing it. They'll have a different physiological response. Have you known people, for example, who are certainty freaks? They want to keep everything the same. They have a different symptom. Now they say, oh, now I'm worse, doctor. You made me worse. My low back used to hurt. Now it's my neck hurts. Will that change the function, the symptoms? What they value most? What do they value? Novelty. Wow, I'm running a great fever. Must be doing something great. Will that affect the health and quality of life? Definitely. Well, one study done of 22 other studies on men who are in disability with back pain showed that the greatest predictor of back pain and being on instability with it for men was money problems or not being respected or liking their relationship with work. It was psychosocial factors. And actually, the size of the coronary artery does not determine your angina symptoms. How you're taking life determines it more. The same thing with the size of a man's prostate. The same thing with a woman's response in cancer. It's more often will they feel loved and accepted. More in cancer, very often, more often than that, than the treatment. This is the beauty. We intervene in the exact interface between how you experience the world, the environment, the individual. And if we up our game in chiropractic with the modern science and modern technique and where we intervene here and all of it can change. And if it's not, we have to know it's not changing. And we have to assess, how do we have to assess this individual differently? And are we helping produce all those definitions of self-fixation? Next. I like to separate this. I show this to corporation world leaders have shared this, seen this. You have metrics, you have symptoms, which a job is to interrupt one's life. You have function, general perception, and quality of life. And ultimately, if you understand the nature of the individual and adjust them consistent with the innate nature, then that can impact the environment. And now we make a bigger difference in the world. Carpet today for a better world tomorrow. Thank you. Let's continue. So, okay. Well, I have a question here. Is someone else translating besides Sylvia? Speak to me.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. So what we found about network, this is like extraordinary. First of all, as this wave moves through, each person's wave is unique. It's a central pattern generator. Okay. When you walk, human gait is the first known central pattern generator of the spine, the first one known, which means it's embedded in the spine. It can be affected by higher cortical activity, but it's not necessary. It regulates spinal learning and behavior. It is nonlinear. So what happens is, say you have a gait. Your gait is your gait. If they do check the mathematical signature of this central pattern generator of behavior and learning in the spine, which human gait is, the first central pattern generator of the central nervous system associated with locomotion, they know it's you. If they look at the signal, if you had a stroke or dragged your leg or broke your leg, or had a prosthetic, the central pattern generator in the spine would reorganize your behavior, your gait, your movements, your learning with a particular settling in there. And it would reorganize it. so it's your signature, they would know it's you. Some of the people who developed these gait patterns for security are some of the main people working in our research wave. Next slide. So many articles have come out of this. The network wave is a second known central pattern generator of the spine, and it's one not associated with locomotion. When it moves through the spine, what it appears to do, since it's an authentic signal, it's your innate wave, it's your informational signal, as it moves through any sensory matter and central nervous system signal, that's not consistent with your innate signature for how you learn and for your spine, is suspended and be replaced by this. What is that worth, your own healing wave? So some conclusions. The network wave may be the first central pattern generator discovered in the spine unrelated to locomotion. And they found out later on, after 2016 it is. Other one, they visualize it. The standing wave is a phenomenon elicited to reveal a central pattern generator, okay? And surface EMG is the main way. Other articles say that this wave, the mathematics of this wave, changes and should be the new standard for neurological possibilities in the neurological suite for people being assessed. Because a person may not have enough function, but they may be reorganized and consistent with their nature. So many different things have happened. People have earned their past masters and PhD degrees and are still earning it on that. And in schools, in engineering, mathematics engineering, and neuro engineering degrees, they're actually studying this, basically simple terms for evolution of the human nervous system. They now have patents applied on there, which we have heart rate variability, signals that show something that may regulate that based upon the network wave. Next slide. Now, and then we keep going on. We have so many articles here, but let's hold up with this before 5 gives you a spine. Just keep it there. Well, recent research around 2016, I was noticing many people doing network were having people's arms coming up and the legs flying up, and that's not part of network. You see, in network, we found out each of these organizing intelligence, the bioenergy, the emotion, the mental, the souls, each have a particular sensory motor strategy as they reorganize the spine while they're adjusting the subluxation. With this model, with this idea, we have this idea here, I found out different tissue depth you activate, you hold the contact to adjust that tissue depth. So when a person gets subluxated, they can no longer experience and experience fully. It's dangerous. There's too much toxic information. So the body takes that information energy and scatters it through different parts of the body. As we hold the contact, that energy has been bound up as a distortion, as a subluxation, it's distortion energy, it's bound up in a certain area. As we hold the adjusting contact at the spinal gateway or at this area, it goes into the area and takes energy information about your life that's been separate. It puts it on the wave and it sends it into spinal gateway to be digested. So information that was not available for you is available with your healing signature. What we started finding out is that when a person has the arms and legs go up, the neck goes back, the gateways lock. With only doing network, please, you must make sure the gateways are opened and the gateways are responding consistent with each intelligence you're looking for. Or bioenergy for connective tissue, emotional, lower mind. It must be consistent so the information can be moved differently. Did it have to be that way in the past? No. But did you upgrade past a fax machine? Did you upgrade past dial-up service? Do you still use a pager? With informational systems, we must keep upgrading them. What worked before will no longer be enough for the bandwidth we need in the world. When I realized that, we found out recently that the instability in the system from the bound up energy that was there is destabilized by the wave. But the rocking of the vertebra, specifically the oscillation of the vertebra, co-emerge with this wave. So instead of a person having to wave and being there for 10 minutes, so it takes 100 units of energy to maybe get 10 units of change. Instead now, if we can get this spinal gateway to emerge and function with this higher organizational stage early on, that wave may only last like this. Or a person may go, and be over that way. Because I want to bring a person to a higher level of stability. About 5 years ago, I said the biggest change in humanity is happening as we're shifting consciousness levels. And our daily life is going to be different. We're going to go to the greatest dark ages, the greatest renaissance. The care we're offering makes the difference for that, to create enough coherence in people's nervous system, start impacting the energy field between us. So I switched to NetworkSpinal, where the way we assess the spine, we look at things, assess people, is all about the greatest degree of full spinal coherence, and with the new definition of subluxation, with different oscillation of the vertebra, much more precision in what could happen. And I promise you, NetworkSpinal and all my methods will always be in the leading edge of what's possible information systems to humanity. And we have to be able to do things, change things real rapidly. I think eventually we won't be able to even see a wave. We'll need instrumentation to do this because the refinement will be so brilliant and so wonderful. Next. I'm giving you as much as I can during this, people, as much as I can here. The key thing you have to understand, your patients have to understand, or practice members, there are 5 gifts of the spine. Function, which is more the life force, the first level. Second is emotion. The change in tension and posture of the spine is associated with the emotional states. It is the organ of emotion. Third, the sense of self, who you are. Your ability to say, well, I am me, I am this, I'm a chiropractor, I am this, whatever it is, I'm a religion. Whoever you think you are determines what you could think. It's first sensory motor strategies of the spine that determine your identity and sense of self. How do we know? Because when the wave goes through that and we have a certain mathematical signature, everyone changes who they think they are. And the pain is not what's going on in the world. The pain is what you're projecting on how you think it's supposed to be. For example, a relationship. I don't know. I got a problem with relationship. I have trouble with relationship intimacy. No, the problem's not with that. The problem is your freaking list you made. This list is somebody you would condition when you're age 10. And it's you throw away your list. Go opposite, it might work. Same thing in life. Behavior, it's conscious choice. When you make a conscious choice viscerally, physiologically, consciously from the higher mind to make that behavioral choice, it also mediates the spine. And you have to have a different spinal pattern. You have to have more oscillation, more breath, more aspects. And ultimately, in the more awakened state, pure consciousness is mediated to the spine. Now, I think you just increased your scope of your marketplace much bigger, don't you? Now, many people have used network as a personal transformational tool. I have a weekend transformation with you or awakening. I never developed for that purpose. You heard it from myself. No. In my transformational gates, the gate experiences, that's a weekend experience to add to what you have with the regular spinal care there. I want to make sure someone has a magic from a healthiest spine possible on spines that evolve like never before. And then personal changes, personal transformation, changing oneself, changing conscious naturally occurs because it's the healthy thing that happens. I know it's easy, it's sexy to talk about that stuff. It's sexy for it just to happen by you being a freaking great chiropractor. Next. So the intelligences, and I teach this in network. Innate intelligence is one. Then you have this prism divides it into a biointelligence, emotional, lower, mental, soul, and upper. At each level of care, we're specifically addressing a different intelligence, a different subset of innate. And if you go back, BJ and DD both says there are different subsets of innate. Someday we'll be able to assess them there. So in biointelligence develops in utero, and its job is it regulates the formation of connective tissue, the bones, the ligaments, the blood vessels, the form of the body. And its job is to give enough metabolic energy to you alive. So if you're using that main intelligence, everything is just about survival. Just stay alive, nothing more. The next one develops emotional energetic intelligence. That develops in utero. with the emotional development, with postural states, and with the immune system. And it keeps developing until you start reading. Once you start reading, you slow the emotional intelligence, because the job of emotional intelligence is to make you respond to a rapid change in the environment instantly without thinking it's a right or wrong. Then the time we start reading, we learn to be a me. What you sort of have to fit into the culture, have to be liked or accepted, fit into the culture, because in 80% of the world, if you don't do that, you're still dead. And that's where you learn to inhibit your emotional and biointelligence, to be liked, to accept it with a sense of self. Later on, you go, but what's the purpose of this? Oh my God, well, you know, I'm a chiropractor. That's what I am. I practice this way and this way. I'm adjusting subluxations. And then we'll say, well, why do I want to adjust subluxation? Is this the way I want to adjust it? Do I really want to adjust subluxation or want to liberate life or change destinies? The higher mental intelligence occurs. It requires a different spine and a different element. To activate that instantly, we need to have the wave go deeper into the center of the spinal cord. You see, if the wave is going forward of the body, it cannot suspend those old dominant patterns. People model me my energetic discipline where I work on the field. I have not taught this to anybody because that is affecting the field. It's not looking to liberate bound energy in the body with the consequence as not meant as a healing discipline. And then eventually we have the soul intelligence where the body arches up, chest arches up and out, and a person actually experiences the energy beyond the physical form. In my 12 stage of healing, it's stage 8 to stage 12. It's what all spiritual traditions talk about. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to pray. You don't do stuff. It just happens. And universal spirit, which is the oneness energy. Every spiritual tradition writes about this. It's available to you and your patients as chiropractors, having to talk about it just by delivering the goods. Next. And then there are different seasons which we represent. A season term is how much light is available. So you could, in the season of winter, you're not gonna have that much sunlight. You're gonna hunker down. You're not gonna go out that much there. And that's for the bio-emotional intelligences. And the care network addresses that. Transform has more light. You develop the mental intelligence and the sense of self and the mind and who you are in the world. The awaken has the most energy, and now you experience the bandwidth of all of creation. Ultimately, we integrate them all, but I'm giving a layout of as many different things under the epi banner as we can. Next. And I'm going to show you a network session here that we have dealing with the bioenergetic intelligence as I would explain it to a layperson, a short demo.
The bioenergetic intelligence, the first intelligence it develops in utero. And its job is to provide metabolic energy to form your body, the organs, the connective tissue, the blood vessels, the ligaments, the bones. If there's not enough energy, they break down. If enough energy, they stay alive at a baseline state. It organizes especially the connective tissue. It's a primal form of communication before the organs, before the nervous system develops. It communicates fast in the nervous system. And if there's twisting one place, it's a counter twisting someplace else. Before there can be a heart problem, there has to be a torsion around the connective tissue of the heart. A lung problem, a torsion around that. Around all organs, the connective tissue, keeping a rhythm communication. The rhythm is the communication with the rest of the body. A disconnection is a disconnection of what connects. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that the bioenergy intelligence has enough energy to keep you alive and stable. And one of the things develops is the connective tissue moves. I used to think there was a large muscles moving. We actually study it. The muscles, even though moving, we're not changing muscular electroactivity. It is the connective tissue around things that was shifting. The spinal cord is kept in place in the center of the vertebral column by connective tissue called the meninges. It attached the brain to the skull, and the spinal cord ends over here. And meninges, again, these tissues attach to everything else. When you stretch the spinal cord and those meninges, those tissues around it, connective tissue, within seconds, you alter the sensory component, what it feels. Or the motor component, the muscle activity, the autonomic nervous system, the organs function. Because they do know outright that mechanical tension on tissues alters the gene expression, makes it less adaptable. So it's important that we see evidence of the spinal cord moving up and down the neural canal. Now we may palpate and touch, and when we're touching like this along the spine, we're seeing, is there compliance to the vertebra can give? If the vertebra doesn't give, it means that it's what's called the passive subsistence. Vertebrae, ligaments, and discs are holding on to tension. It means they're not changing environmentally. They're saying, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. No, to stay alive, they're disconnected from what's happening. The body is disconnected here. So we want to see some things. When the spinal cord is under tension and that spinal cord is being pulled up like a marionette puppet, then we start seeing that there's tension in the ankle. As you go to straighten out, there's some tension here. If the tension is this part, it means the upper neck is involved. If it's down here, it's the pelvis. So this means the body is acting as a point of defense, and it's overreacting or it's vigilant at that time. Then whichever area is hooked into that, the nerve supply to those organs is also hypervigilant. It's already stressed. The context to affect the bioenergetic intelligence are quick. Retraction around this gateway, which is opening where the energy is going to move into as it's going to be processed and digested. And we're going to just hold a gentle touch on whichever it is like this and a very quick contact. That allows the receptors to activate to create that particular type of change. And it produces safety in the body because the bioenergetic intelligence wants enough energy and it wants safety. I have to first feel it though and see what's going on. Even if the assessment says do this, if the body says it's not the time, we go to the next thing. It's why I know what I see has to happen, but what's the timing this body wants? That's another level here. So I'm looking at this right now and turn your head to the right again. And to the left, back to the middle. And that I'm not seeing that neck involvement. I'm going like this, and the leg is staying short. So I'm suspecting that indeed there may be a pelvis that may be swayed to the side a little bit. Now, I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to just activate enough to activate that self-organized intelligence for it to figure it out. You know, I'm a Jewish boy. I don't like to do hard work. Use your mind. That's it. Okay. Now, I'm going to see if it's possible by the connection between top and bottom of the spine, if I could make a contact here and affect the pelvis there. And watch what's happening. This is actually, I'm finding the exact spot in the way, and here we go. And you're seeing this between the skull and the upper neck is starting to move here. That's happening first. Then what's happening? You see how this is happening? You see how he's changing the side, bending the ankles because his hip was bent to the side. So the ankle is turning to the side as the spinal cord is repositioning itself in the vertebral column. The puppet master of life is reorganizing. The pelvis is rising up. This is the connective tissue that's actually affecting it to the spinal cord. It's moving up and down the vertebral column on its own. This is part of these strategies where system learns, and that is happening in a way that only his body knows how to do. It's his wave, and he's getting information that's been disconnected. And then right around this area here is his quicksand. That's where energy goes in and nothing comes out. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find this a source of energy to further that right here. Watch what happens. I'm going to affect the upper neck there. When that skull and first vertebra shifts, watch what happens right down here. And then it's going to go here. It's going to go here. It's going to go here. And the next thing go like that. And that's a torsion pattern for the entire body, that it's self-organizing. I mean, there is innate intelligence. And if it's innate and it's intelligent there, it's going to do it. My perception is when someone's alive, they should look alive. And with that one thing we've done, the leg evened out and the tension here changed. This is the bioenergetic intelligence and addressed to network care in level 1 of care.
And every time the system gets to another level of complexity, you want to come back and refine it again like this. Okay, let's go past mental. Let's go past that. What's after that? So really what you can do is upgrade the human operating system and the spine for chiropractors without borders, from adjusting spines to adjusting destinies. It may sound crude, but it's the way I believe things are. For us to adapt to the changes we have in the world, the amount of information going through us between the 5G network that we have going through and the chemicals and all the what's happening, all the information we have to deal with in a moment. I mean, in one day, you have more information to deal with than your parents had, and they had more than, the ones before. We need to upgrade the human operating system. And I believe that's what we're really doing here. And we have more research coming out and more aspects, how to improve that. So this is it, the way of seeing it. It's impossible for us to get to the next place in the world, individually, collectively, socially, politically, environmentally, everything, with the neural network of a primate. We cannot keep using the neural net of a primate. We must evolve it rapidly. And chiropractors have to start letting the chiropractic principle go more than just philosophy. Oh yeah, it's great, chiropractic works. Yeah. All techniques work, yes. And what is your objective you want? I talk network because that's what I developed. That's it, and the models of healing. What is your highest goal for your patient or practice member? How do you know you're achieving it? Look at the Wilson Cleary chart I talked about, physically, emotionally, socially, different aspects. With each of these organizing wisdoms, they'll have a different conversation. There'll be a different thing that's affecting their lives a different way. And it's really simple. Now, how do you become a master? It's a lifetime to be a master. That requires, lots of people like to dabble. There's no satisfaction for anyone in dabbling. You got to be driven by something beyond yourself or your own practice. That's important. So I'm here to answer some more questions. Oh, by the way, visit me, and here's some websites to visit on FENHX.com, FENHX.com, /welcome -NetworkSpinal, FENHX.org. We have research studies at FENHX.org. Look at the research there. And visit me on Facebook. If you're not interested in extraordinary, you probably already stopped listening to this anyway, okay? If you're interested in extraordinary, what I have is what you call seeking is more than what people say there is. This is it. If you're not seeking extraordinary, then I'm not your man. We have enough ordinary stuff going on. Chiropractic was never meant to be politically correct, and chiropractic was never meant to be ordinary. It's meant to connect to the organizing forces of all of creation. That's what we're meant to, and not just as a philosophy, but under your finger, as a touch, as an assessment, as everything. So here we are, questions.
Oi, pessoal, Donny, thank you. Pessoal, é muito conteúdo. A gente tem uma pergunta aqui do Reihat, que ele fez o curso do Donny no Peru, e ele aplica, ele faz com várias pessoas isso, e ele percebe que com algumas pessoas funciona e com outras não. Então, a pergunta para o Donny, que a Vivi vai traduzir, é essa, tá? Vamos ver o que ele fala. Se tiverem mais perguntas, mandem.
Donny?
Yes.
Yeah. We have a question here. Luis Reihat, he said he took your seminar in Peru in 2010, and he has been using the technique in some people, and he sees that some people respond very well and other people not. So he's asking, is there something wrong with this? And
okay, let me first start. How much, besides 2010, how often have you taken further courses? How far about the training if you had? How much network care do you do? Are you doing, okay, let's start with that, okay?
Ele perguntou, então, primeiro, antes de responder isso, ele perguntou quantas vezes, fora 2010, você foi em outros seminários, o quanto você vem estudando isso, então, quanto você está nisso? Ele falou, vamos começar por aí.
Quanto está atualizado?
Okay, that's the first part. Next part is, I don't see network as a technique. And by the way, what I taught in 2010 is great. There's a whole new system, a whole new idea. It's not the same. It's a different, it's a whole different, well, I guess if you want to, cassette tapes were really great in the time. Okay. But I choose, cassette tapes were great at the time. Okay. Then they get CDs. Okay. Okay. Each one is an upgrade when we get there, but that's not the main point. The main point, if you expect to take a seminar and be able to get optimal retreats, experience anything, you're deluding yourself no matter what you're doing. It will never work.
Ok, o que ele falou, resumindo, no final que ele mesmo falou, vamos sair um pouco do ponto, mas resumindo que não importa a técnica que você faça, né, que você queira aprender, se você foi num seminário uma vez, vai ser difícil ir mais profundo. And Donny, if you don't call technique, how can I call it?
Well, it involves a technique. It is evolution in healing. It's evolution in chiropractic. You see, because if you're using the same mindset you're going into and apply this with it, it's not going to work very well. If your intention is, I'm going to try network because I want a low force contact to somebody, that's not going to work. Okay. Is the question I'm asking, is your outcome the advancement of the spinal neuron tech? Are your outcomes, what are your specific outcomes? Because if you're going to say, well, I'm going to use network, I'm going to use this and this, then you have different outcomes you're using. Because no other system is looking to produce a spontaneous self-organizing signal and produce coherence at the level. You're not trying to do that. So if you're using network because you want to correct something, it'll work sometimes. It's not what it's designed for. So it's not about what network is. It designs to what degree, what is your chiropractic map or model of the world? How well do you assess spines to begin with? How well do you palpate someone? When you're taking care of somebody, you're looking at the spine. Are you looking segmentally? If the breath went through a particular area, that's great. But is the vertebra still moving? Is nice motor mood? Is a good motor unit movement going on? You use network, you got a care going on, great. Use network, great. The neck oscillated, yes. What happened to T1 or T2 or T4, T8? So it depends upon your assessment of the body and the spine. So why are you taking care of a person? Okay, so that's the first question for everyone, anyone to ask. Okay, what are you taking care of a person? What outcome are you looking for? Because unless that changes, then you're just going to pick any technique to do what? It's a low force technique. How much more have you studied about the courses? Have you read the different articles I've written developmentally on network? Have you studied spinal neural integrity systems? What else have you done? So, you're talking, yes, you went to chiropractic college. What in chiropractic college ever taught you to optimize the human experience? There's no way in a weekend I could ever teach you this. You have to experience it. And you have to experience it from top level people doing the highest level stuff to know what it's about, because otherwise it's a concept. Well, should I use SOT or network? Well, where is that question coming from? The question is, what are you looking to do? Are you want to reduce something? You take care of somebody, go, wow, good. The tension went down and the pain went away. Well, reducing pain is not the purpose of care. What outcomes are you using? Are you using surface EMG? Are you using thermography? Are you X-ray? What other assessments are you using? I'm talking about optimizing central nervous system function, evolution to new levels. Now, that's not for everybody. And are you using network and doing structural adjusting? You'll probably, most of the cases, you'll annihilate the change. So that's why I start here with the video on more. What is more? What is FE healing? The bigger model through it. Take a look at that. And anyone who tells you that you're going to become really good at anything in one weekend, I'll tell you that's something. I don't know who's not telling the truth, you or the person telling you it, because there's no way. These are lifetime skills. These are lifetime skills. People study 30 years with me. Oh, I have to always study? Well, it depends on what degree of mastery you want. The key thing, what is your objective, taking care of that person, and what are your outcomes? That's the important thing. And you choose the methods that will produce the outcomes you're looking for. Continue. And thank you for staying with me. Yes.
Dani, pessoal, a resposta da pergunta do Rei Hart vai ficar para as legendas, tá? A gente tem 15 minutos aqui ainda com ele. Tem uma pergunta do Daniel Duenhas, que é: as ondas que observamos no corpo do paciente são sempre grandes ou elas podem ser mais sutis? E aí a Vivi explica para ele, Vivi, que a resposta vai estar na legenda e que a gente tem 15 minutos. Daqui a pouco entra todo mundo.
Okay, Donny, your answer is going to have a subtitle in Portuguese later, so we don't need to translate now.
Thank you.
We have 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes to the end, and we have another question.
Yes.
Daniel Dueñas, he asked if the waves. So the question is, the wave, it needs to be big, can be a small wave, and the direction about the wave. Is there a direction?
Okay, well, a few things. The wave should be very small. The larger it is, the less inefficient it is, okay? It also means be at the exact tissue level of that organizing intelligence so the body could take the information that's bound up and go into it. It must also be the right height in the body for what we're trying to achieve. So in bioenergetic, the wave will be more in the connective tissue, will be longer. If I'm not looking to affect that, I don't want to see that movement. That's not good. If I'm looking to see emotional, I want to see a wave that just has more of a stretch. A person who has a perception wave, you won't see it much, but will be a feeling. A behavioral wave will have more motion. A structural wave will be staccato. So it's to try. Big waves are not good things. Let me say that. Big waves are not good things because they're destabilizing inefficiently. And the key is not the wave. The key is the oscillation of the vertebra. So if my neck, if I'm trying to influence C1 and my neck is going back like that, stop it. You're messing things up. Because it has to be able to go up to C1 right there. Right at that area, not C5 at T1. When people are trying to play with the wave and not looking to see its spinal integrity improving, they see movements all over the place. That's illness, okay? It's not well, it's not wellness, it's refined. And you must always do it in conjunction with what is happening with the spinal and neural integrity, the passive system, the active system, neural control system. Are they exchanging information there? Which intelligence are you looking to be with? If you're going to be a soul intelligence, the body's going to arch up more. But what's happening with the vertebra? If, for example, I'm holding a contact on sacrum, okay? To influence C5, and C5 moves right away, that's not it. I want sacrum to move, not C5 first. This is where when people try to dabble in a little thing and get excited they could do something for somebody, it's different than optimizing it. In NetworkSpinal, we want the most refined waves. So a wave for me is something like this. That's it. It's energy efficient. It does its job. Please fall out of love with drama in life. People who like drama find drama in chiropractic also, okay? fall in love with the result in life. Like, well, my relationship is so great. Why? We're constantly fighting, but to love each other. Well, that's because life equals conflict and drama. So that's what it's going to be for you. So the answer is, it's very specific. Now, when you start looking, now even this video we showed was the early development of NetworkSpinal. And I mentioned level 1 of care. In NetworkSpinal, there are no levels of care. And then question to other thing, when someone says I'm holding a contact, are you really on the gateway? So if it's C21 gateway, are you sure you're in the C21 part or your C1-on-2 part? You lost it if you're the wrong part. Okay, right there. Are you on the gateway with have the report, or are you next to the gateway? It's not. It's going to be a different response. What's happening with respiratory wave? This fundamental essence is understanding its spinal integrity, the spine as a whole unit, and looking at that. And you must always, like in any technique or methodology, you must always know the exact outcome you're going to get. Full locally, full spinally, passive active neural control system, energetically, the outcome you're going to produce. And unfortunately, most chiropractors are not outcome assessments. It's like medicine. I'll try this and see what happens. No. We're talking about the force of organization. Now, when you're learning it, obviously learning, you start applying it, you start watching. I used to call NetworkSpinal analysis. NetworkSpinal analysis, the key was not the adjustment. The key was analyzing to see what has to happen. And with the best effective analysis, that's it. Unfortunately now, it's a great opportunity. Most chiropractors don't learn enough about the spine, spinal neural integrity, the system as a whole, and the different things before they apply the chiropractic adjustments. And that's where it's a lifetime. Where Epi-Energetics Institute this year is going to be shifting to not just for weekend seminars things, but online also, all the different tools the chiropractor needs to really be a master. And I have a course online, it's an English course, a chiropractic mastery course I did years ago, not about chiropractic, but about mastery of chiropractic, which is nice to know that as a chiropractor network there, how to master that. Is it time for another question?
Donny, oi gente, Donny, thanks about your answer. Eu queria agradecer em português e a Vivi translate to English.
Okay.
Tem mais uma pergunta. Qual é a pergunta? We have one more question.
Then I have one more answer. No, you have one more question. One more question. I'll probably have 5 answers in that question. And yes.
After everybody is invited.
Vamos lá. Na verdade, ele acabou de responder a pergunta. Ele é bruxo mesmo. Ele se antecipou. Donny, they asked if you, we know we are in with the COVID and all this, but if when you are going to come to Brazil to give a course?
Okay. It's a great question. Most of the courses are taught by other people.
And if there is online seminars.
Okay. I traditionally in network, I teach a course once a year in the advanced program as part of a team, not leading it there. But we have some really extraordinary teachers who are teaching a network around the world. So we would love to be able to do that. I know we're having in other areas, it's not Brazil. We have people teaching Spanish. Jose Salgado is leading that in other areas in South America and Central America there. But that is something that with demand, we can have one of our instructors teaching out there, come out to teach.
Ok, só vou responder rapidinho pro Donny matar a curiosidade dele. Primeiro sobre a onda, ele falou que a onda, Donny, quanto mais curta, melhor. Não tem que ser grande, não. O negócio é buscar especificidade. E o segundo, ele falou que hoje em dia ele não dá mais cursos. Ele tem a equipe dele que dá seminários, né? E ele participa de um desses uma vez ao ano. E se tiver demanda no Brasil, pode sim organizar um curso aqui com um dos instrutores dele.
And once someone has actually progressed, most of the people I teach have a 1-year postgraduate program, which is really intense and has live events also with that. It's called Mastery, which assumes the person has already got a real good level of mastery of everything else. Most of those people have been with me and really studying with me at least 7 to 10 years before that they take that course. Because when I teach, my standard of what's acceptable is really frustrating for most people. There. So we have other people at different levels for that. I still hold the space for the higher level of it for everyone to step up to. There. Well, thank you for this opportunity here. And hopefully you're going to be sharing this with what you learn with other people and watching it again, because I gave like a year's teachings in different areas in this time there, because different people find different things more exciting, and maybe get a better sense of me. That it's not just about one thing, it's about how do we really serve people at the highest level of what's possible beyond whatever we learned is possible. How do we know it's really happening there? And how are we taking care of the person first? It's the person you're taking care of. You know, many people use chiropractic technique as a means of avoiding intimacy. Lie down, boom, 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 that's it, I did it, that type of thing there. Chiropractic is, as far as I see, is one of the most intimate professions in what you can know. Like even as you go online, you'll see in the course in the epigenetic.org, the foundation site, an article I think about 2 years ago, which is also on chiropractic as a healthcare system and the evolution of network, even in palpation, how when you palpate, you can determine whether it's an emotional stress or emotional psychological stress or a chemical stressor. There's so many things you can know about the person with the basic chiropractic skills, not just network. I'm teaching this assuming you already have the skills, those skills. So the more you study network, the more you want to know so much about chiropractic. Yeah. And we offer so many different areas. Please take a look and start reading some of those articles. So, and not the articles, the references of where that came from is so exciting too. And we have extraordinary teaching staff, a very select teaching staff, teaching NetworkSpinal, and they're running as fast as they can to keep up with the latest of everything there. And I'm looking forward to seeing you someplace soon, and have an absolutely great day. And hopefully this insane lockdown will open up when people realize that even if people are spatially distanced, they don't have to be socially distanced. Thank you.
So, Donny, Serena is asking you to close the presentation so we can see your face in the big.
Okay, Karina.
You want to say things too?
Thank you. Okay, Karina, could you do that so they could see me in the center?
I'm not responsible. I'm not the admin.
Whoever's the admin?
The admin has to do it.
Admin, you do that. Whoever's there, because the admin should be able to have. The admin has the ability to put whoever they want in the center whenever they want. Ok. Now, put me in spotlight.
Donny, Vivi, traduz para ele que a gente ficou com muita expectativa que ele aceitou isso, a gente foi caçar ele e foi maravilhoso. E que
ajuda a traduzir.
Dado para as pessoas terem acesso ao que ele falou direitinho, e que a gente vai chamar ele mais vezes, que a gente quer aprender Epigenetic, e temos muito pouco ainda disso aqui. Fala as palavras finais para ele.
Okay, so Serena is thanking you for being here with us today. She said that she hunts you because it was so difficult to find you. And so it's a pleasure and an honor for us to listen to you, and with all your experience and years in chiropractic. The seminar, it's about traditional and contemporary. So I think you can give this to us. You know, you talk about 1977. So it's for us to listen to all this history is very exciting and inspiring, and to listen to our drive and desire for more and more. and always try to refine yourself in all the ways and come up to develop not a technique like we just said, but the epi-energetics. So it's a pleasure. It's the first time that I listen to you, and I believe it's going to be the first time for a lot of Brazilians. So thank you very much for being with us today.
And just so you know, whatever aspect of chiropractic you do, if you're really helping liberate an ache and there's means of doing it, it's beautiful. I have a certain standard that I have that's like an insane standard, okay? And I just hold that standard, and whatever piece you have of this, it helps you serve in that way. God bless you. Thank you.
Ótimo, ele falou então que independente da maneira que você esteja praticando a quiropraxia, se você estiver liberando a inteligência inata, isso já é maravilhoso, e ele também agradeceu, e eu acho que é isso, gente. Agora a gente vai tentar pôr o rosto de todo mundo. Just 1 second, we are trying to put everybody here with us.
Okay.
Vai ser.
Eu acho que pode agradecer ao Daniela. Acho que pode agradecer ele e deu tempo agora de 2 horas e acho que é isso.
Agradecemos.
Então fala um tchau para ele, porque as pessoas
Tira a foto dos
as pessoas não entraram.
Aqui.
Donny, thank you, Donny, very much.
Just let you know, none of us are enough for holding the torch for chiropractic. None of us are enough. Once we accept that, something else fills us. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Donny.
Thank you.
Thank you.